Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and I thought we would do a channel update. We haven't checked in with each other in a while, and this is actually a channels update because I'm looking at making some changes to kind of expand out my footprint a bit in order to appease the YouTube algorithm. Let's get to it. Now, I started this process after researching some things for the video that I did about 2 weeks ago on the YouTube subscription tab. I noted in that video that as a viewer, I'm not seeing a lot of the content that I'm subscribed to because the algorithm doesn't think I want to see it. And because I have very broad interests, both for what I watch and also what I create, it's hard to get things narrowed down for my viewership to 6 little boxes on the homepage. And from the creator side, because that video was more viewer focused, what I'm seeing is pretty crazy. So for example, as of this afternoon, I have 341,150 subscribers, which I have built up from nothing, which has been great, and I appreciate all of your support. But when you start going through all of your analytics, you see how little the subscriber base actually sees what I upload. So for example, over the last 365 days, I got 8.1 million views. 28% of them came from browse features. You'll see that YouTube search is next up on the list. YouTube search used to be the main driver of my traffic. Now it's second to the algorithmic recommendations, given how strong that homepage is for viewers. And when we dig into the browse feature here, they actually put the subscription tab inside of that figure. So over the last year, the subscription tab only accounted for 14% of the browse feature videos. Not even 14% of the entire total here, just 14% of the browse features. So you can see how few users actually go into the subscription tab, and most of them that use the browse features came from the homepage recommendations. Now let's take a look at one of my more popular videos over the last couple of weeks. This is a video that we did on the ongoing ATSC3 encryption scandal. And as you can see here, we had 313,000 impressions of the thumbnail. In other words, this thumbnail popped up in front of people 313,000 times, but that is less impressions than I have subscribers, which already tells you that a number of subscribers never even knew that I uploaded this video, kind of a shadow unsubscribe here. And then if we dig deeper, you can see that of those who watched the video, only 46.6% were subscribed. And this is not necessarily a bad thing. It means that I am reaching out beyond my subscription base. But at the same time, because not every subscriber is getting the thumbnail, that also means that these subscribers aren't watching the videos because they didn't know it was there. So there's a good example of how the subscription thing doesn't matter as much as it used to. Here's another example. This is a piece of retro gaming hardware I looked at the other day for the TurboGrafx 16. Granted, this is a very narrow niche, but a popular one amongst my subscription base. However, this video only appeared in front of people 82,500 times, yet we have a subscriber base of, what, 340,000 plus, right? And if we go in and look at who watched here, this one was more watched by subscribers. So this tells me that a bulk of the thumbnails appeared before subscribers, but very few of the subscribers actually saw it. And this is the kind of thing that I'm battling all the time. Now, what YouTube tells you to do now is set up a different channel when you're noticing these kinds of trends going on within your analytics. And that advice came from Renee Ritchie, the creator liaison on YouTube, who says that if you're noticing new topics aren't getting traction, then maybe it's time to start a new channel. But what I'm noticing here is that as the YouTube recommendations have become more and more finely tuned, topics now are very specific. So the topic of tech, the kind of stuff that I cover, is now, I think, a little too broad for one channel. And what they're saying here is you really got to narrow it down more to appease the algorithm. The challenge with this, though, is that it's very hard to build up a channel because you basically have to start from scratch. Remember, subscribers are not seeing everything that's getting uploaded, even though I'm calling this a channel update, which would presumably appeal to subscribers who want to know what I'm up to. Very few of you are actually going to see this video. I can tell you that right now. And so in order to appease the algorithm, you got to really build something up from nothing again. Now, Renee says this is not about appeasing the algorithm, it's to provide the best experience. And he uses an example that maybe Bryan Cranston can be in Breaking Bad and Malcolm in the Middle, but if they were on one show, it would probably be a bad experience for the audience. And he's absolutely right about that. However, somebody as large as Bryan Cranston can spin up a new channel and have it monetized immediately, whereas a smaller creator has to grind it out for months and months and months before they can hit that threshold where they've found the audience and they can start monetizing the channel. Because when you take an existing channel and spin off a new one, that new one is a completely blank slate and has no connection to the original. But I was curious to see what topics were the most popular on my channel over the last 365 days. And as you can see here, the topics are almost entirely based on cord cutting. So we've got my Xfinity bill issue that I had with my mother there. We have a bunch of videos on over-the-air content. We've got stuff on TV boxes to watch that stuff, and a related video about that tour of the fiber optic ISP we did a few weeks ago. And that's the kind of stuff that right now is driving viewership on this channel more than any other topic. Is it because the algorithm is recommending this stuff more? Yes. Is it also because this is what is more top of mind for consumers right now? And the answer to that question is also yes. Now ask yourself this question. If you were a channel very much focused on one type of topic, what happens when consumers shift to a new one? You've got to adjust. And the question is, do you just throw away 8 years of work and 340,000 subscribers and start from scratch, or do you try to pivot? And my approach has been to pivot, but there's still some interest for the other topics, and that's why I'm looking at spinning off a few more channels, which I'll get to in a second. And just to put this into perspective, look at what 2020 looked like. Completely different. My top 10 videos were all about laptops, Chromebooks, styluses for your iPad. And of course, a lot of this was driven by the fact that people were suddenly working from home. They needed extra computers for the kids, and the consumer focus was in a completely different place. And all of this stuff as a topic has yet to recover on the channel. And of course, you can look at just the sales figures out there for the PC industry. They are way down right now. So to some degree, there's economics outside of YouTube at play here, but it's also the algorithm itself. But again, does it make sense for me to just throw everything out and start over again? The answer to that question is no, which is why we're kind of pivoting a little bit as we go. And I also dived into what was not performing well on the channel, and I actually came out with two different categories. We have short-term poor performers, and then we have the longer-term poor performers. Now on the short-term side, PCs and laptops are now among the least popular content that I upload, whereas in the past, they used to be right up there at the top. And again, it comes back to where consumers are at the moment. However, these do really well over the long term because these are very search friendly. And we get in a lot of the mid to low end laptops from Lenovo and HP and Asus and others, and those are not as covered out there as some of the more expensive laptops are. So those videos actually do okay over time. So I'm going to keep doing them, especially around this time of the year where we're getting into back to school, but also the holidays. And beyond that, what also happens around this time of the year is that the laptops start getting reduced in price to start clearing them out for the next year's models. So we're in a good point in time right now to start focusing a little bit more on PCs and laptops, but it will come at the expense of my short-term viewership performance. Additionally, printers fall into that bucket too. We just reviewed a photo printer that was one of my poorest performing videos of the last 6 months, but that one's going to be doing a lot better a few months from now because it's a very popular item to get around the holidays. This was that HP photo printer, and we'll see some better performance there, and these do really well on Amazon too. So these are really driven by search, just like the computers are. And amateur radio too, because it's a topic that is popular amongst people that are into amateur radio. And I've been noticing over time that although these videos don't do great initially, they do start to accumulate views over time, especially for people like me who are just getting into amateur radio. So for all those reasons, these are the topics that I will continue covering at the same cadence that I'm doing now, even if it's not always resulting in very good short-term performance. But there's a few topics that never do well. That includes video production gear, which I know there's an audience for, displays, monitors, and that sort of thing. Those never do well for some reason. Space exploration, unfortunately, because that's one of my favorite topics to cover. That one's gotten worse over the years, not better. Retro gaming, which is something that I love, and I know a lot of you love. Don't worry, I'm not leaving retro gaming here, but we're going to look at it differently. Some of the dispatch videos that I do when I go on the road, and then the random gadgets don't always do all that great either. And so what I'm looking to do here is maybe spin things off a little bit. And I'm going to start with the gadgets. And the reason why I've pulled up the Amazon Vine logo here is that I just recently got back into the Amazon Vine Reviewer program. And a lot of these items that I'm getting in are these gadgets that you never heard of before. Most of them are not so great, but some of them are actually kind of cool. And so I've been starting to do very short videos, for me at least, on what used to be called the Extras channel. We're now going to call that Lon's Gadget Picks, because the audience there was into some of the more intricacies of some of the things that I review insofar as unboxings and supplementary content and that sort of thing. And this channel has 20,000 subscribers, or just about, so I don't need to start from scratch here. And I think this audience is definitely interested in what I do, because most of them found that channel from this one. And if we do a bunch of these kind of gadget picks that I'm coming across through the Amazon Vine program and other places, I think this channel might do well on its own, especially for people that are very much into random gadgets, which this channel is going to start covering in greater quantity. So that's one of the new things that I'm doing here. On the space exploration side, I have come up with a partnership with my friends at NASASpaceflight.com. I've already done 2 things with them, and I'm hoping to do more. So if you look on screen here, Lon.TV/Galaxy37 was my first time as a launch commentator with some of the pros over there at NASA Spaceflight. And then I also provided footage of a International Space Station resupply mission that was visible from here in Connecticut. And I got some great footage that they integrated into their live stream there. So that's been a lot of fun. It gives me an outlet for my interest in space exploration. And this is, of course, a very well-established channel and website that's focused almost entirely on space exploration. So this is a good place for me to kind of direct those energies to. And my hope is to start alongside with what they do, focus more on creating a new channel that would talk about space from the standpoint of everyday people. Why should an average person care about this stuff? And that's my hope. Maybe we can do that on NASA Spaceflight, or maybe spin it off or something. So in the course of covering some of these launches that I might do with them in the future, including going back down to Florida, you might see a new channel from me that will be focused on this topic of space for everyday American and international citizens, for that matter. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be something I'll be developing over time, but in the short term, I'll be doing a lot with them exclusively, and I'm looking forward to that partnership. I do have a lot of space content up right now that you can see here. One of the things that I'm thinking about doing is spinning off that little space channel, taking all of these space videos that I have right now and re-uploading them. So maybe that will tune the algorithm to find audience that's into this topic versus, again, the more general tech content that I have here. In the past, these NASA videos did really well here, but because it's such a different topic and because the algorithm is getting so much more specific, I think it's really hard to get a space video to work on this channel, even if a lot of you are interested in it. So that's going to be, again, one of the things that I look at here. As far as the production gear, the displays, and the retro gaming, for now, I'm going to keep doing those things on this channel, but I do anticipate at some point creating a production gear channel, and I think the space channel might be a good experiment to see how it might work if I take that chunk of this channel, spin it off, and re-upload the videos. So stay tuned. We'll be messing around with a few things, but I don't want to go too crazy here yet and have a million channels to manage. We're going to start with the gadget thing and the space thing, and then see how those do, and then I might look at some of these other topics for perhaps spinning off some new channels. But in the meantime, as new production gear, displays, and retro gaming devices come in, they will stay here on this channel. Now, one of the things that I'm doing to consolidate all of this stuff, if you're into what I do globally, is on my blog. I've been very much trying to own and control my content as much as I can in this day of platforms. So the blog will have my videos embedded, including some of the short ones that I do, along with a written summary of them, so you'll get everything there. And if you don't want to keep checking the blog, there's a couple of ways to get notified. One is through my weekly email newsletter that you can find at Lon.TV/email. And what I do here is I roll up all of the feeds from all of my channels into one place. So every Sunday morning or early afternoon, you'll get this email delivered to you where you can find everything I did over the past week, and you can see how much the algorithm is not delivering to you. I also have a almost daily email which is something that I send out every time I make a new blog post or I upload a new video. And so there's two different ways to hear from me. If you don't want to hear from me all that often, the weekly email is the best way to go. And if you are into RSS like I am, you can go to Lon.TV/RSS, and I've got all of my RSS feeds up there so you can pick and choose what you want to add to your feed reader. Now, I also send my videos up to two other platforms that have made a lot of sense from a monetization standpoint for me. One of them, of course, is Amazon, and most of the product reviews that I do get up over there, especially if the product is sold on Amazon. Amazon works a lot differently than YouTube. You're not going to see my videos popping up in a feed. They appear in search results and on Amazon product pages, but you can go to my Amazon shop page here at Lon.TV/Amazon shop and see everything in one spot if you go there directly. We also send things up to Floatplane, which is, of course, Linus Tech Tips' own video platform. This is a subscription-only service. It gets the same videos that I put up on YouTube, and I really appreciate those of you who have subscribed to me there. We've got about 17 right now, and all of the videos that I send to YouTube, whether it's on this main channel or the other ones, will also go there. The only things I'm not sending to the Floatplane platform at the moment are shorts, mainly because I don't think the Floatplane audience wants to see shorts, but if they do, I'll send them up there as well. But this is otherwise the same content that I put up here on YouTube. And speaking of supporter support, I also want to thank some new gold level supporters who've contributed over the last couple of weeks. We're going to be updating the end credit rolls very shortly, and I will be trying to do more outreach to keep everybody up to date from a supporter standpoint, and also thank new supporters here because that's something we used to do during our weekly wrap-up show. I want to thank Keith Farrell, Budley, and Steve Green for their recent contributions, and again, you will hear them on the end credit rolls very shortly once I get all the data put together. I got to pull data in from a lot of different places when I update those credit rolls every couple of weeks. So stay tuned, the update is coming, but I did want to acknowledge these folks to know that I do appreciate their support, and I appreciate the support of everyone. And don't forget that just watching the channel means a lot also, because viewership is very important for continued channel growth. And I don't want anyone to think that they have to pay to watch me, but I do appreciate those of you who are supporting the channel. It does help quite a bit. So that is it for the update right now. I just wanted to give you all a sense as to some of the things that I'm battling on the algorithmic side. So if there's a particular topic you haven't been seeing lately, it's likely because of this, but I am trying to find ways that I can take the topics that I want to cover and put them into a place where the videos will actually be put in front of people who are interested in seeing those topics. So stay tuned. More to come here in the short term. Not much is changing. I think you're just going to see more stuff in more places rather than less overall. That's going to do it for this one. Until next time, this is Lon Seidman. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Chris Allegretta, Hot Sauce and Video Games, Logic KGR, Tom Albrecht, and Amda Brown. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/s.